Okay, card number 2 is the one that has what I called sort of the hourglass shape inside, and it's the one where we stenciled on the butterflies. So for the outside of this, we're going to make another bow, but this time the bow is going to be slightly smaller. So we're going to have 2 strips of pattern paper, both 1 inch wide. One piece will be 6 inches long, the other will be 4 inches long. All right, so for the piece that is 4 inches long by 1 inch, we're going to do that same thing. We're going to create a V at either point, so we center it with the center post and the punch, line it up, and we're just eyeballing it. Okay, and then we're going to put a V in the center, and that's approximately at about 2 inches mark here on the board. Do the same on the other side. Okay, so that's going to be the background of our bow. And then for the bow itself, we're going to place the top left edge against the inside left edge of the punch. Punch it, flip it over, punch it again to create this little tab. And we're going to turn it around to the other end and do the same thing. Punch it, always placing it against the inside edge of that left part of the punch. Then we're going to cut a V in the center at about, oh, let's see, eyeball it, about 3 inches. And on the other side, we're going to take our bone folder for this piece, and we're going to just gently run it along the back side of it, just to give it some curvature. And then we're going to take some adhesive, tape runner, move that out of the way, run it along this center piece, put the one edge down, the other edge down, okay, and then the background piece. So we're going to use a glue dot or tape. I just like the glue dots, they're a little easier, I find. They also hold very well. Sometimes you get a little over the edge, so you can just kind of bend it. Now this time let's see if I can get it centered properly. Stick it down, there we go, stuck it to the back. Sometimes glue dots are a little bigger, but since we're going to be gluing that down anyways, that doesn't matter. And this time, instead of putting a butterfly in the center, I'm just going to grab a rhinestone and I've got a little bit of glue over it and stick that in the center. There we go. And then I'm just going to add a little adhesive to the back with my tape runner. Take the front of my card and I'm just going to put it off center, glue it down there, fluff up my bow a little bit. If you crush your bow, use your bone folder. That helps. Okay. And you know what I forgot to do, which I have forgot to do a lot in this video. I forgot to go around this with my, but I'm not going to worry about now, with my ink. Okay, and so this is a good example here of what I mean. If you don't ink it, you see it kind of blends into the background of the card, which is fine. It's kind of that monochrome look. But if you want it to stand out, then I recommend inking it, which I didn't do in this case. Now for the inside piece down here, we're going to put a simple little background bow here, but we're not going to make a whole bow. What we're doing is just that background piece. So we're going to take another piece, 1 inch by 6 inches long, and we're going to center it in the punch to give us our points. And then we're going to cut the V in the center, and that's at about the mark 3. This is a 6-inch piece, so that's about where that should go. Do the same thing there. This time I am going to remember to ink the edges to give it that distressed, shadowy effect look. Okay, that's good. Then I'm going to add some adhesive to the back of this. and open up the card, and along this bottom section, or I could do it diagonally. I think I'm going to go diagonal in this one's case. Put it down, and then I'm just simply going to add some more of my little rhinestones to it. I think I'm going to add 3, one in the center and one at either end. And there we go. And I've got plenty of room in here to write whatever I want to write. Okay, so that's card number 2. Now for card number 3, we're going to have our card in this orientation, so it opens up this way. And this is the card that had the collage butterfly on the inside panel. So we're going to make a butterfly bow for the outside of this, and to do that we need a 1 inch by 6 inch piece of pattern paper, and we need a 1 inch by 4 inch piece of pattern paper. We're going to take the 1 inch by 4 inch piece of pattern paper, and we're going to make the little pointed tails on either end. So we do that simply by placing the end into the punch, centering it under that center post just as we've done before, and we're just eyeballing it, punch, and the same on the other end. And then we're going to create little V marks in between. So we're going to line it up at the 2 inch mark here and punch, flip it over at the 2 inch mark, punch it, and there we have our little bow background. We're going to take the longer piece, the 1 inch by 6 inch piece, and we're going to put the tabs on either end. So we put it in the punch, line it up with that inside edge, just where the score guide goes into the punch, punch it, flip it, line it up, punch it, so we've got a tab on that end, turn it around, line it up, punch it, flip it, punch it, and we've got our 2 tabs on either end. Then we're going to put the little V in the center. In this piece, we're going to line it up at 3 inches, punch it, flip it, line it up with 3 inches, punch it, and we have that piece. Now we're going to take our bone folder, and we're just going to carefully give it a gentle curl, and then we're going to take it, flip it over, and using glue of our choice, I'm going to use tape runner, just put a little glue in the center, and then gently bend that piece over and adhere it, and gently bend this piece over and adhere it. So we have our bow. Then we're going to take a pop dot, or you could use a dimensional, or you can just use wet glue, your choice, however you want this to look. I'm going to use pop dot, put it in the center, pull it off, just curve that down because I have a little bit too much glue on there, and line it up, center it, and stick it down. Okay, now once again, guess what I forgot to do? I forgot that I was going to ink the edges of the bow. So it can be done. It's better to do it before you glue it all down, but you can do it if you'd like me and you're forgetful. You can do it after you've assembled. And so that's what I'm doing here, just all the way around the edges, just to give it a little bit of accent. Okay, that's done. Now we're going to create the butterfly that goes in the center. And for this, we're going to use a large butterfly. No, we're not. We're going to use a medium-sized butterfly die cut and a small butterfly die cut. And I've already pre-inked the edges again to make them pop. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to layer the smaller butterfly on top of the bigger butterfly, and to do that I'm going to use some dimensional squares or dots, whatever you have laying around, and I'm going to try and peel these off. There we go. And so I'll put one on the back here and another one. Put that here and take off the protective paper. Okay, I'm having a little trouble getting the protective paper off. Oh, maybe I already did. I did, already got it off. Okay, layer it. There we go. And then, again, I could use a dimensional square, but my medium of choice are pop dots. So I'm going to place a pop dot in the center of that. Just fold that down a little bit, and it's going to go in the center of the bow. Okay. So I've got all that. And then to finish it off, I'm just going to use some of my cheap little rhinestones. Peel one off. If I can get one off, there we go. And I'm just going to place it in the center just to give it a little bit of bling. And sometimes you have a little run over glue, which doesn't matter because I'm using it on my non-stick craft sheet, so it comes up okay. And now I'm just going to place it wherever on the front of this card. I'm going to place it a little off center on the diagonal, and I'm just going to use my tape runner for that and stick that down there. Now I've kind of flattened out my bow a little bit, but what I can just do is use my bone folder and pop it back up a little bit. There we go. Okay, so that's the outside of the card. Now for the inside part of the card, we're going to do a variation on the bow, and it's going to go along this part at the bottom. So for this, you need, again, 2 pieces of patterned paper cut 1 inch wide, and this piece is 4 inches and this piece is 3 inches. And for this one, we're going to put the little points on the ends of both of these pieces using the punch board, just like we've done before. We're centering it and punching it. And the second piece we're going to do the same thing with. So now we have these 2 pieces. And what we're going to, oops, I forgot to do the little V in the center. Got to have the V in the center, so that's it for the bigger piece at about 2. And for the smaller piece at about 1.5. And then, and I'm not going to forget this time, we're going to ink these pieces on the edges as well. And again, I'm using black because I just think black makes it stand out better, but you could use another color. You could use a coordinating color with for your cardstock, whatever you like. Because again, the whole point of doing this is just to make this stand out from the background of the card. And you can put on as much as you want or as little as you want. Alright, so now we have these 2 pieces, and I'm going to layer these 2 pieces on top of each other. Now I'm going to use my, I'm going to use pop dots for this, because you know I'm dimensionally squared challenged. So, but you could use dimensional squares as well. Anything that's going to give it, or foam tape, anything that's going to give it a little bit of a lift. And just line that up with the center. Pop that down. So you see we have a nice little layered look. And then we're going to use 2 butterflies again, and we're going to use a medium-sized butterfly, and we're going to use a smaller size butterfly, and I thought I had both of these out and I didn't. Again, both butterflies you're going to want to ink around the edges. Do a lot of this. And we're going to mount, to make a layered butterfly, we're going to mount this one on top of that one. So again, I'm going to use my trusty old pop dots for this. Now you can get pop dots in different sizes, alright? I'm using fairly large ones, which is a bit of a trick when it comes to a smaller piece. That's why I'm sort of manipulating the ink around to put it on the edges. But, you know, if you get the smaller ones, they work fine. And then we're going to put another dot the center of that, and it's going to be mounted right into the center of the bows. So we have this very nice layered effect. I'll just hold it up a little bit so you can see this. See it from the sides, a little crooked. And if you want to sort of manipulate the wings a little bit or the other elements just to bend them a little bit so they stand up, that's okay. But of course this is going inside of our card, so they will get flattened depending on if you're going to mail it to somebody or whatever. And once again, we need a little bling, so I'm going to grab one of my little sticky rhinestones, stick that right in the center. And now we're going to mount it to the inside of the card, and we're going to put it right down here at the bottom. So again, using my tape runner, just add some adhesive to it and line it up where I want it and stick it down. And there we go. We've got card number 3 done. Okay, so for the last card, the 4th card, we have it this way, and again we're going to be opening it in this orientation. And this is where we did the stamping off of the butterflies onto the inside card panel. So on this, we're going to create 3 butterflies that are going to go on the outside and 3 butterflies that go on the inside. You're going to need, for the outside, 3 large die cut butterflies and then 3 medium size butterflies and 3 small die cut butterflies. And I have already done the inking around the edges and used my pop dots, dimensional squares, to pop up the center butterfly, and then I added a little bling with my rhinestones on here. So those 3 are done, and they're going on the outside of this card. And the configuration for this, I'm simply going to put them in a row, and keeping in mind that this might go inside an envelope, you want to keep them within the boundaries of your card. And so that's the layout that I want to do. So I'm just going to use my trusty pop dots again. And actually, here's a trick. I don't know if you can see this, but what I've done is, since my pop dots are kind of large, I've cut them in half with a pair of non-stick Teflon coated scissors. And that way I don't have the glue hanging over the edges, which would be a problem if you put it in an envelope and there was residue glue. It would stick to the inside. And now I'll show you. That one I had already cut. I'll show you on here. All you do is take your scissors, and I'm using Tim Holtz's, what are they called? The Tim Holtz Studio or Tonic. I think it's Tonic scissors. Yeah, which are really great because they're very sharp and they have a Teflon coating on them, so the material doesn't stick. Oops, that one just stuck to my finger, so let's put it on the back. There we go. And mount that one. And then we've got another half here, so we'll just lift that and put it on here. And adhere this one to this part. So there, we've got the front panel done. And if we want to add some kind of message or whatever on here, there's still room to do that. Then on the inside, what we're going to do is we're going to take 3 die cut butterflies, small size ones, and I've cut 3 squares 1 inch by 1 inch out of the pattern paper to create these diamonds. I've inked everything around the edges. I mounted these again with pop dots onto the diamond shape, and I've added my bling as well, and now I can place them wherever I want on the card. And I think for this one I'm going to do maybe this kind of configuration. Still leaves me room to write a message in there. So again, you can put them in any configuration you like, and as I've mentioned in an earlier video, you don't have to do everything precisely the way I have. Go for your own style. This will make this project yours. So we're getting the pop dots on here. You want to keep them away from the folded edge so that the card will close properly. And one more, and I think I'll just sort of eyeball the space. And there we go. 3-dimensional element inside. So there's our last card completed. Our next video is going to be how to make the card holder box top.